You know from experience that in all your wanderings you have nowhere found the good life, not in logic, not in wealth, not in glory, not in indulgence. Nowhere. Where then is it to be found? Welcome back to the Everyday Stoic. I am William Mulligan, and today I'll be sharing with you a passage from the Emperor Marcus Aurelius's personal diary, and in this passage he writes where you can find the good life. I'll be explaining the passage and giving you a better understanding of the passage so that you can also find the good life. Today's video is sponsored by theeverydaystoic.com, where you can get the Amor t-shirt, which is just a reminder to love your fate, and it's always good to keep this reminder at the forefront of your mind, as when things come your way, maybe bad, maybe good, you always love the fate you're given and you use it as a positive. Enjoy the video. This too is a counter to pretension, that you have lost now the chance to live your whole life, or at least your adult life. As a philosopher, indeed it has become clear to many, yourself included, that you are far from philosophy. You are tarnished, then. Difficult for you now to win the reputation of a philosopher, and beside your station in life is a contrary pull. So if you have a true perception of how things lie, abandon any concern for reputation, and be satisfied if you can just live the rest of your life, whatever remains, in the way your nature wishes. You must consider then what those wishes are, and then let nothing else distract you. You know from experience that in all your wanderings you have nowhere found the good life, not in logic, not in wealth, not in glory, not in indulgence, nowhere. Where then is it to be found? In doing what man's nature requires. And how is he to do this? By having principles to govern his impulses and actions. What are these principles? Those of good and evil. The belief that nothing is good for a human being which does not make him just, self-controlled, brave and free, and nothing evil which does not make him opposite of these. I think the importance of the paragraph begins when Marcus Aurelius says, so if you have a true perception of how things lie, abandon any concern for reputation, and be satisfied if you can just live the rest of your life, whatever remains, in the way your nature wishes. Our nature is connected to the cosmic nature of the universe, which is connected to everyone's nature, and our nature is to be good. Very simply put, our nature is to be good people, and it's to be good for others, and to be good for the universe. So our nature is to be good, and we must abandon our reputation, we must abandon all these superficial things that surround our life, and we must understand that we can be happy in just being good people. And the reward for being a good person is just that. We are good people to the people around us, and that's a good thing. Whatever remains in the way your nature wishes. One fact of nature is we will all die at some point. So Marcus Aurelius liked to keep death at the forefront of his mind, to create an urgency of life, but also to appreciate his fate and to love his fate, amor fati, the love of one's fate. So to keep that in mind, we must love our fate, and that we can be good people with the given time that is allotted to us, and that is enough. Regardless of our reputation, regardless of everything else, that is enough for us to lead a good life. You must consider then what those wishes are, and let nothing else distract you. You can't waste a single minute wandering aimlessly through life. So every action you take must have an aim. You must have a target to go towards, or you're just wandering aimlessly through life and you're procrastinating on the importance of your life. You know from experience that in all your wanderings you have nowhere found the good life. Not in logic, not in wealth, not in glory, not in indulgence, nowhere. You think you're going to be happy when you get a certain amount of likes, or you go do this activity, or you get a certain amount of money, or you get the pay rise. But over time you start to realize these things, they bring you up for a while, but you always come down to this stasis. Happiness is not found in these things, and sometimes they can be detrimental. You keep chasing those likes, you keep chasing that money, you keep chasing that thrill, and all you want is more and more and more. And like the quote says, the rich man is he who wants the least. So the man who desires nothing, like Diogenes, He was the wealthiest man. There was nothing outside of his reach. He could buy everything he wanted because there was nothing he wanted to buy. So he was just getting by with everything he wanted. Where then is it to be found? In doing what man's nature requires. Like I said earlier, man's nature is to do good. So that is where the good life is found. In doing good for yourself, in doing good for others, and in doing good for society and the community around us, which is the universe around us. That's where the good life is found. But how is he to do this? By having principles to govern his impulses and actions. What are these principles? Those of good and evil. The belief that nothing is good for a human being which does not make him just, self-controlled, brave and free, and nothing else which does not make him the opposite of these. So the principles in which man has to govern his impulses and actions, these principles, these principles are the four virtues: courage, wisdom, temperance and justice. You have these four virtues in the forefront of your mind at all times, in all actions that you take. This is how you be a good person and ultimately live the good life. You keep these four virtues and good principles in the forefront of your mind and when taking actions. So you take actions based off of courage, off of wisdom, off of temperance and off of justice. And you keep these at the forefront of your mind when making these actions. And that is how you live a life according to nature, which is where to find the good life. The belief that nothing is good for a human being which does not make him just, self-controlled, brave and free, and nothing evil which does not make him the opposites of these. So the Stoics had a way of splitting up what is good, what is evil, and what is indifferent. And good, simply put, good is virtues. Evil is vices, and everything else is indifference. So virtues, courage, wisdom, temperance and justice, that's good. Vices, basically the opposite of these. Everything else is indifference. So a lot of people say the Stoics are against having money or against success or against whatever, all these things. But they're just indifferent. They could be good, they could be bad. So simply put, the good life is found in being a good person. And being a good person is by living in accordance with nature. And living in accordance with nature is achieved by living with the four virtues at the forefront of your mind: courage, wisdom, temperance and justice, and using them in taking your actions. And of course, one thing you have to keep in mind when you're using these four virtues is that doing it for yourself is selfish. That is why justice is the most important virtue, because if you do it for yourself, then it is selfish. So you have to keep justice at the forefront of your mind and understand that our nature is connected to everybody else's nature and is connected to the nature of the universe. So doing something good for others is good for us. Doing something good for us is good for others. And that's how we know if an act is good. And an act is only truly good when we do the act of God and don't expect anything else in return, as doing the act itself is our return. So I'll just finish this off by reading the Gregory Hayes translation, as it may give you a better understanding. I believe in this case, the Gregory Hayes translation is the best translation of this paragraph. It helped me get the best understanding, I believe, of what Marcus Aurelius meant by how to live the good life. So here you goes. Another encouragement to humility. You can't claim to have lived your life as a philosopher, not even your whole adulthood. You can see yourself how far you are from philosophy, and so can many others. You are tainted. It's not so easy now to have a reputation as a philosopher, and your position is an obstacle as well. You know how things stand. Now forget what they think of you. Be satisfied if you can live the rest of your life, however short as your nature demands. Focus on that, and don't let anything distract you. You've wandered all over and finally realized that you never found what you were after: how to live. Not in syllogisms, not in money or fame or self-indulgence, nowhere. Then where is it to be found? In doing what human nature requires. How? Through first principles, which should govern your intentions and actions. What principles? Those to do with good and evil, that nothing is good except what leads to fairness and self-control and courage and free will, and nothing bad except what does the opposite. So I hope that gave you a very good understanding of where to find the good life. I do recommend doing further reading, perhaps reading the meditations, as you'll get a much better understanding. When you start to understand the history and the character of Marcus Aurelius, you start to get a better understanding of certain words that circulate in the circle of Stoic philosophy and even the history of Stoic philosophy. You start to get a better understanding of what these paragraphs and what these chapters mean from Seneca, from Marcus Aurelius, from Epictetus, from these ancient writers. You start to get a better understanding. So hopefully this helped you in where to find the good life. Leave a comment to let me know if this helped you. If you want to support what I'm doing, then please consider becoming a YouTube member. Please consider subscribing or just leaving a comment of encouragement or just a comment of opinion. Maybe I can improve these videos. Thank you for watching. Please consider going to www.theeverydaystoic.com, where you can get this Amor Fati t-shirt, which is just a reminder to love your fate. Head over to my Instagram @theeverydaystoic, where you can join in on the Stoic discussion, see Stoic memes, quotes, affirmations, and I teach Stoicism a little bit on Instagram, and I do regular Q&As. Thank you for watching, and I apologise about the stuffy nose. There's not much I can do about it, but I wanted to get a video out today. So thank you for watching.